All right, so we are now streaming. Mr. Chair, you can proceed.
Great. Thanks everybody for showing up today on this, one of our many calls associated with this. I'd love to open the meeting if there's a motion to open the meeting and get it going.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so with that said, today's agenda is pretty sparse. It's a continuation of the discussion we've been having essentially in two buckets. Bucket number one is to talk about previous projects we've sort of taken cut one at, and sort of make sure we have a chance to better understand either new data, new information, or different perspectives associated with the ones we've already talked about. And then to start working through that large list of projects that we've yet to talk about. So in the first category, we'll just sort of jump in. I think the one that's first on the list, and Carl, thank you for joining us. Carl's with Tidelands, has spent a lot of time on this particular project. It's the Black River Road project. And we did cover that last week. We talked it through a bit. We heard the city talk about it, but we also felt it'd be great to hear the hospital's view. You guys have been working on this thing for a long time. I know it's very important to you and your agenda for the county. So Carl, thank you for joining us. Take as much time as you need. You may even have a presentation which you're welcome to share or just talk through. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thanks to the entire commission for all that you guys have done and continue to do working through this process. I've been listening into the recordings of the meetings as things have progressed, and I just hope the community knows kind of the scale and the comprehensive and thorough approach you guys have taken to this. I think the end result is going to be a better end product for Georgetown County. So just thanks to everybody on the call, and also just wanted to give a shout out to Georgetown City and Georgetown City Council and Scott, the administrator, for their leadership on this project that I'll be referencing here today. So my goal really, and I know you guys have a lot to work through, as Mark mentioned, so I'll try to keep this as concise and to the point as I can. My goal really is just to build upon the information that you gained from Scott during his presentation Thursday, provide a little bit of color from our perspective at Tidelands Health to help in the evaluation process, and kind of reinforce why we think the Black River Road Improvement Project is an ideal project from a CPSD funding perspective. So does anybody have any questions before I proceed? All right, so as Scott may have mentioned, this project kicked off a number of years ago. Long story short, the city had approached DOT because of some congestion and traffic concerns around Black River Road. That resulted in the development of a traffic study that identified safety concerns associated with the volume of left turns being made in and out of both Georgetown Memorial Hospital as well as the residential streets on Black River Road. If I can, I will share my screen. Can you guys all see that?
Yep.
And so I'm sure Scott went through this at least to some degree on Thursday, but basically the long and short of it is that getting in and out of both of the hospital and these residential areas, if you've ever driven down here, is incredibly difficult, particularly during peak periods. Right now, Black River Road, of course, is just a standard two-lane road that's carrying about 11,000 vehicles daily, according to DOT numbers, a figure that is likely to increase, which means that Black River Road is certainly one of the busiest, if not the busiest, two-lane road in the entirety of Georgetown County. And so as a result of following the DOT traffic study, they came up with this design, which creates essentially makes Black River Road for much of the street a three-lane road with a center turn lane that will improve significantly the congestion along Black River Road and improve safety and ease of access, both, again, to those residential neighborhoods, but to us, very importantly, to Tidelands Georgetown Memorial Hospital. In terms of context around traffic to the hospital, right now we are doing about 189,000 patient encounters per year at Tidelands Georgetown Memorial Hospital. That is about a 90% increase from 2019. And the reason for that is we've been bringing services onto that campus to make it easier for our patients. So instead of patients having to travel or know where multiple different services are within the community, we've been bringing them into Tidelands Georgetown Memorial Hospital. And so that's great for our patients, but what it means is more traffic in and out of that campus, which is probably evident. If you drive by during the day, you'll see that that parking lot is quite full throughout the day. And I know one of the, yes, go ahead.
Just a quick question, this is Mark. One of the criteria, as you know, is percentage of the county or the extent of the county that, uses whatever asset or
Sure.
capital project we're talking about. You mentioned 180,000 visits. What percent of the county would you say uses or has had the need to use this hospital? And how focused is it on, south of the bridge versus north of the bridge? Just how would you describe breadth of the community use of the hospital and the road to some extent?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, Georgetown Memorial Hospital, I should say, is obviously a critical part of the overall infrastructure within the Georgetown County community. I couldn't speak to the percentage of people that within the community that have accessed, but it is a lot. Obviously, Georgetown Memorial is a safety net hospital that provides care to people regardless of their ability to pay. It is an emergency. Obviously, we offer emergency room care at Tidelands Georgetown Memorial. It is vital not only on a day-to-day basis for the community, but more broadly when you think, and I know there's been discussion about the Emergency Operations Center, that is one project that's been proposed. When you think about the critical importance of a hospital in case of an emergency, it is vitally important to support the region and Georgetown County in case of a hurricane and things like that. So in our view, Georgetown Memorial Hospital is really a part of the fabric. We've been serving the community for more than 70 years, and it is the heart, of Tidelands Health, and really we think just a critical and essential part of Georgetown County. I don't know if that answers your question, Mark, but
Carl, it does. Thank you, Gary.
Real quickly, this is Gary Cooper. It's my understanding, just to help clarify this question a little bit. I'm a healthcare guy myself. It's my understanding that, and from personal experience, that if you have a heart issue and it's an emergent heart issue, you're going to Georgetown, not to Waccamaw. Is that correct?
That's correct. So Georgetown Memorial Hospital is home to the only cardiac catheterization lab in the county. And right. So it is.
If you live in Merle's Inlet, you're still going to Georgetown. You're going to bypass Waccamaw Hospital if you're having a myocardial infarction, heart attack. You're going to go to Georgetown and bypass Waccamaw. Is that correct?
So that's generally the case.
All right. Thanks.
This is Robert. I got a quick question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Is there some plan or design or desire to move the hospital? I know it's a big complex. I know it's seemingly still growing, but is there some design to move the hospital to a more, I won't say accessible, but more centralized location in the county?
No, there are no plans to do that. We've actually invested over $100 million into Tidelands Georgetown Memorial Hospital over the past 10 years or so to renovate the building, add new services, add the surgery pavilion. And so that we're comfortable with where that is. This project, I think, will help address some of these, from a transportation perspective, access to the hospital, but there are no plans to move it.
Okay, thank you.
And go where you'd like. I know we want to hear more about the funding. There's been numerous groups focused on how to fund this because we were always trying to leverage our dollar, the capital project dollar, better. Go where you want, but at some point we'd like to hear more about that.
Sure. So, we were talking a little bit about kind of the traffic associated with the hospital itself, but I do want to talk a little bit more broadly about, from a kind of to build upon your point, Mark, in terms of the importance of Black River Road to the Georgetown County community. When we talk about growth within Georgetown, obviously, as has been discussed during the commission meetings, 701 is a critical corridor for the community. If people, as this area of the community gets more developed, new homes, new businesses, all of these things, because the infrastructure is there to support it, they are going to go down Black River Road. So this is a Google Map Waze, any of your GPS tools. I just thought this was an interesting and perhaps beneficial to understand not only the challenge that exists there now, but to provide more broad context in terms of the overall county impact, that this is a major thoroughfare for Georgetown County. If you want to go from Walmart to the beach, if you want to go from the beach to Walmart, you are going to go up and down Black River Road. It's the way that makes most sense for most people. And so to that extent, it plays a kind of a vital role in the overall transportation within the community. And you kind of build on
Carl, my understanding, or maybe it's a question for Walt. Walt, I've heard something about like 2,500 new units, housing units, and I'm not sure what a housing unit exactly means in this context, is going somewhere in the upper left or part of, sort of the upper left part of the U at some point. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's significant interest in proposals where you see that the Georgetown County YMCA marker right where he's hovering his mouse up in that corner is poised for substantial growth in the next couple of years. Developers are starting in that area now, so it's gonna be busy in that area.
Got it.
Obviously, that's going to drive more traffic over to the beach, but it's also going to mean all of those people, just like all of us, so at some point in our lives, we're going to need access to the hospital itself. And so, so all of that is ultimately going to be flowing in and around down Black River Road. I'm sure, Scott mentioned this before. I'm going to go back to the design. When we talk about the Black River Road, and Mark, to build on your comment in terms of leveraging CPST funding and why this is such a great project from a financial and return on investment perspective, we call it at Tidelands Health the Black River Road Improvement Project, and not just the widening, because of the many different components that are part of this overall project. In addition to the widening of the road, there will be new sewer and new water infrastructure that is replaced, that's aging along this area, that's going to have to get replaced at some point along the way, that instead of using local dollars, that'll come from state and federal money. In addition, there's going to be new gutter, new curbing, and new sidewalk in an area, again, a major gateway to the community for pretty much everybody, all through here, all paid for by state and federal money. Right now, if you've gone down here, basically, right now it's just grass that leads into the street, and so the overall aesthetic of this corridor is going to improve substantially, and we think ultimately improve property values and just benefit the overall community. In addition to that, let me see if I can make this thing. Oops. Here we go. So in addition to that, we are proposing as part of this project to privately introduce a new recreational trail behind and around Tidelands Georgetown Memorial Hospital. So what you're seeing here, hopefully you can see this okay. I know it shrinks on Teams, but basically you've got new sidewalk that's running up and down Black River Road. It's going to give people access to this park. And then we're proposing here in blue to build essentially a 0.8 mile walking trail around Tidelands Georgetown Memorial Hospital. It's going to improve safety. It's going to improve health and wellness. I don't know if you guys have seen, but I know the YMCA is supportive of this for that reason, because now all of these homes, anybody in the community that comes down will have access to the sidewalk, can go to the park, play basketball, can walk with their kids on Sunday afternoons, go back around, look at the marsh. and things along those lines. So there's a tremendous benefit from a recreational health and wellness perspective that's kind of incorporated not only in the infrastructure. Obviously, new sewer, new water is important to health and wellness, but also from a recreational perspective, this is a major improvement for the overall community. Mark, to build on your comment in terms of funding.
Yeah, hang on just a second, Carl. I saw Gary raise his hand. I just want to make sure we hadn't.
Yeah, Carl, I just wanted to, can you go back a slide?
Design or to the map?
To the road, I think. Not that map, but the other one. Yeah, this one. The other one.
This one? Sorry.
Yeah. That neighborhood is kind of up and coming. The neighborhood across from the hospital, it's kind of up and coming. But across 701, that's typically a lower income neighborhood going back towards Merriman Road and the high school. Is there, the reason I asked that is there any crosswalks coming across this yellow to the hospital?
To go from side to side. We've talked about that with DOT. I'm not sure where that exactly got left in terms of accessibility to go from side to side. Right now, there's no plans for kind of a dedicated crosswalk.
I don't know if Seville Street or somewhere, but a place where you can push the button and it stops traffic. But a lot of the folks that I'm friends with and my son plays basketball with, a lot of these guys are walking. I don't know about Saturday night in the ER. I've been there. You've been there. Seriously, and that's a real thing sometimes. But I didn't know if that was something that you had in mind or could have in mind, where people that needed to cross the street on Richmond Drive or Seville Street could press a handicap accessible button to cross that road.
Yeah, and I would defer to Scott and the city and DOT on the best way to accomplish that. I see it certainly.
It's above my pay grade too. I'm not asking to do anything, but it seems like while you're into the design, that would make sense because there's a lot of people that are lower income people that need to get access, and that's one of the things that we've been pretty consistent on at the CPST is access.
Yep. True. Let's move on, Robert.
Yeah, quick question, hopefully. This map, and maybe this is a DOT question also, but, we're being asked about relocating utilities. Am I correct in that, Carl? And my question is, this map is only showing that area in front of the hospital. So we're going from a bottleneck on both ends to 3 lanes, 2-3 lanes with 2-wheel turn lane, and then back to a bottleneck both at 17 and Fraser Road. So, is there another map that shows this road widening, continuing both directions, the full length of Black River Road, or is this just what's Thailand's and DOT have worked on?
So yeah, this is just to clarify, this is obviously a city-led project, and that's a great question. Originally, when this project was scoped, the intent was to widen the entirety of Black River Road, and that is still, the city would need to pursue the funding to do that. Because of the cost and availability of funds, DOT prioritized this section as what you could consider kind of a phase 1 to this project and to the overall broader improvement of Black River Road. Again, that would be dependent on the city going back to GSATs and GSATs allocating funding to address the two kind of butt ends, if you will, of the project. But based on the availability of funding and a need to prioritize within the constraints of that funding, this is what DOT came to as the top priority as it relates to addressing the safety concerns that are that are along that route, but it certainly does not preclude an expansion on either side moving forward, if that helps answer your question.
Oh, most definitely. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. Hey, Carl, I'm going to ask we sort of wrap things up here in the next couple of minutes. We've got 60 of these.
Yeah, no, and I apologize. So just to give you an idea, what the CPSD is being asked to do, because I think this came up before, is contribute $1 million in this, well, not to contribute, but to put on the ballot $1 million toward the broader, toward the project, in terms of the widening and all of these improvements. It is common and commonplace as part of any widening project for utilities to be relocated. And so trying like siloing the electrical work from the broader project, I don't think really does a service to the broader thing. If you talk to DOT, I mean, that's kind of commonplace. It's a necessity when you're doing this project. So the way I would propose, thinking about this is CPSD and the referendum question ultimately being about a contribution of $1 million toward this improvement project. And if you look, I just wanted to share with you the GSAT's budget so you guys could see firsthand that there is all this state and federal money has been allocated. Here you will see the $6.1 million with $5.4 million in construction for 2026. I think so this is basically a shovel-ready project. It is ready to go as this funding gets approved, hopefully by voters in November. The other key component I know that's part of the matrix is economic impact. And I think that kind of, obviously Black River Road is a key corridor in terms of moving goods and services throughout Georgetown County. From the health systems perspective, we have 500 employees that work at Tidelands Georgetown Memorial Hospital. As a health system, we generate $500 million of economic activity. We are the largest private employer in Georgetown County. And so I think supporting this improvement project will have a direct and substantial economic benefit to the community. When businesses are looking to relocate to a community, they're not just looking at access to high quality education. They're looking at, will my employees have access to high quality healthcare? And that's what we're committed to at Tidelands Health. And that's what this project will ultimately help advance within Georgetown County.
Super. Any last closing remarks, Carl, or anybody from the commission with questions? That's been very, very informative. Between your presentation and the city, I think we understand this pretty well. Anything else? All right, well, thank you.
Appreciate it, Carl.
Thank you all very much. Really appreciate all that you guys are doing, and thank you for your consideration and for the opportunity to share our perspective.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Walt, was the plan to move to Beth next? You had talked, I think, to Beth and Ray.
Well, I think Beth and Ray are both on, so I think Beth only has maybe about 3 projects on, so
Right,
maybe it's easier to knock that one out and then move on to Ray, who has substantially more.
A lot.
Okay. So sorry, Ray, that's the penalty for having a lot of projects, I guess. Hey, Beth, thank you for joining us. And what would be super helpful, Beth, is if you could just sort of highlight and overview the 3 projects that you've got from your group and share with us the key things you think we need to understand. You can assume we've read the documents because we have, but there's nothing like a good voiceover. So thanks for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me. So yes, there are 3 projects that have been presented or been promoted by the council members in the districts that these reside in. So I'll just start at the north end and go south, if that's okay. The first project is Wachesaw Park is doing phase 1 renovations to that park. Wachesaw Park is located in Merle's Inlet. It is on Kings Road or Kings Highway, right behind Tidelands Hospital in Merle's Inlet. Of course, that is one of the highest growth areas on the Waccamaw Neck. Merle's Inlet has had explosive growth and does continue to have some land available for projects to continue for a while, a little bit of time. So Wachesaw Park has been kind of cobbled together over more than 40 years, probably longer than that. The park doesn't function well. It needs complete renovation. It actually needs just to be wiped clean and start over. So I wrote a grant last year and got a PARD grant for a conceptual master plan to redo this whole, I think 7 acres total, but about 5 usable land park. So we are going to be doing that with state funding. That will be completed this year. So it will give us a blueprint for what we need to do at the park for improvements. Murrells Inlet 2020, several citizens groups, our Recreation Commission members from up there and council will be participating in the conceptual master plan. So beyond that, there is currently no funding to do whatever we determine it needs to happen. So we've taken a look at the highest demand for various projects at the park and things that are there now and things that are not. So this phase 1 funding request actually would include an off-leash dog area. We get a huge amount of requests for that in the Waccamaw Neck area, to the point of our baseball fields up there, either they're locked or they're a dog park. So I think that would be extremely popular. Also, redoing an outdoor basketball court at the location, probably in a different site from where it is, but at Waccamaw Park, which we are very big on multi-use of whatever facility it is. So we're proposing to do outdoor basketball with pickleball court lines, because pickleball is, whether we agree or like it or whatever, it's the fastest growing sport in the US currently. In 2023, 13.6 million US players were playing pickleball. And in 4 years since 2020, it experienced 223.5% growth in players. It doesn't look like that's slowing down. And we currently do not have enough pickleball courts to keep folks playing. We get lots and lots of demand and continued calls for more pickleball. So this would be our only, at this point, outdoor pickleball courts on the Waccamaw Neck. So I think that would be very popular. And then the other piece that we really want to do at this park is a nice inclusive playground. Currently, we don't have an inclusive playground on the Waccamaw Neck, and really the only one that kind of qualifies as ADA is at East Bay, and it is aging. It's in the process of having components replaced and being reimagined in kind of a project between the city and the county. So with younger families going in up that direction, that would also see a huge amount of use. So those are the main things that we would propose to do in this phase 1 improvement. Of course, this is going to be quality of life, health, fitness, getting people outdoors, keeping them active is certainly vital. Oh, the other piece to this renovation in phase 1 would be to add a walking trail. We have some walking trails around the county that get a whole lot of use, but we don't have an established walking trail on the Waccamaw Neck like we have at some of our other community parks. So I think it would also go a long way into adding something that Murrells Inlet desires and needs. So be happy to answer any additional questions y'all have.
Super. I see Walt's hand up, and I had a question as well. Walt.
I was just wondering what the funding amount on that PARD grant was, Beth, so I can put it in the minutes.
$50,000. It's a $50,000 grant for our conceptual master plan, and we have a 10% match, which we are funding through county.
Thank you.
That's what I wanted to clarify, is that it was a planning grant, and that's been spent. So you had the plan, and this next, if you get CPST money, it's the actual execution.
Absolutely. We would be able to do those, the first round of major improvements for the park.
How confident do you feel in the estimate?
Very comfortable with it. I've we've done a number of these things over the years and recently feel very comfortable with a little bit of cushion in there, because we don't feel like, we know that these funds are not going to be immediate. So, and it's certainly scalable, where if we, can't do 150,000 in play equipment, or it doesn't buy us quite as much, it's still going to be nice equipment and meet the needs that we're projecting up there.
And what does this do, Beth, to your O&M?
It actually will, I think, will improve my O&M, because this park is so old and the systems in place here are so inefficient. Part of our whole redesign is to rework the entrance, the parking, lighting, all of those things, and they are all hogs of utility and maintenance at this point. So in all of our design going forward, we're going to LED lights. Our landscaping is native grasses. So we're really trying to put a sustainability plan in place, which actually saves us money, makes us more efficient in the process.
Thank you. Gary?
Beth, one of the things I really try to keep an eye on is how many people do these things serve? How many people will this park serve?
So the Waccamaw Neck is actually currently has about 36% of the county's total population. That is projected to stay kind of at that percentage, maybe a percentage here or there. There's not a huge amount of growth area remaining on the Waccamaw Neck, so we're pretty much going to stay in the population that we have, somewhere around 25,000 or so citizens for the Waccamaw Neck. We also at Murrells Inlet get a whole lot, well, on the whole Waccamaw Neck actually, but in Murrells Inlet, we get a whole lot of grandparents that have family come and grandchildren that are staying with them for vacations and that kind of thing. So we really see a lot of increases there, and I get a good many calls from those folks saying, I need to take my grandkids to play, or where do we go? So also pet ownership is increasing year over year, and we have nowhere for those folks to go either for their off-leash activities. The other thing to keep in mind is Georgetown County's population continues to age. We're aging at a rate higher than the national average. Our whole state of South Carolina is, I think, but in Georgetown County especially. And our population will continue to age, and our senior, what they call senior, 50 plus, which I disagree that that's seniors, but anyway.
I do too. I want that on the, I want that on the record.
That's like 90 for me, but anyway, the population, amount of our population that will be over 50 over the next few years will continue to increase. We're already at more than 50% in that category, and that will continue. So the things that we can do to keep our aging population out, moving, playing pickleball, walking, doing all those things, pays dividends with health and fitness.
Well, they used to walk in the mall, but they don't have that anymore.
Can't do that anymore.
I'm not joking. They
I
used to
agree.
walk in the mall.
Ashley.
I agree.
Ashley.
Beth, you mentioned that this is phase one of this work. Does this cover the majority of the renovations that you anticipate for Murrells Inlet? And have you already started talking through what phase 2 or 2 and 3 might look like?
This will cover the majority. I think it also gives us, we just would put in some green space. It gives us some space too. A few years ago, we didn't know what pickleball was. So who knows where we're going to be going as things evolve and folks age. But this will do the majority of the park and make a very nice destination for folks to be outside for years to come in that area.
Awesome. That answer your question, Ashley?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Beth,
Y'all
very
ready to
helpful.
move south?
Yep. Yes, please.
All right. So now we're going to move on down to the Waccamaw Regional Recreation Center. So we talked a little bit about pickleball. The Waccamaw Regional Recreation Center is our regional center for the entire Waccamaw Neck. It's 25,000 square foot recreation center that has a court and a half basketball courts, aerobic space, the full senior center that serves lunch 5 days a week, lots meeting spaces, classroom spaces. So pickleball is taking a huge amount of our gym space. Our courts there are lined for pickleball, basketball, volleyball, shuffleboard, a number of other things. But the pickleball players, and most days during the week, there's at least 40 players in there waiting to play pickleball on the 4 courts that we can fit. 40 is probably a light day. They just come, stay the day, stack their paddles, and we do have folks that want to play basketball. So we have a little fight between capacity going on there. So this project is projected to use, there's green space beside the rec center that is not currently in use. So what our proposal is to use that space and to put in an outdoor basketball court / 4 pickleball courts. So we'd be able to expand that capacity, and you can play basketball and pickleball simultaneously if you desire. Also after hours, weekends, when there's events, when the facility's closed, it would give access to both basketball and pickleball in that area.
My kid's one of them that fights with the pickleballers. He was raised in that gym.
Yes, sir. And we have it all the time, and it's they fight for more space and more opportunity, and it's truly a capacity issue.
Any other questions on this one?
I've got a question. Beth, you mentioned in the proposal that you selected this location due to being accessible in the middle of the neck. Do you see this pickleball area growing so that it potentially becomes an issue at the other sites on the western part of the county? Or is it just a...
We'll cover that as we move south, because I got some more pickleball to talk about.
Okay.
But yes, so one big reason that I am a proponent for putting this project or any project co-located with other facilities is we have spread over the years, before we really went to a more regional concept, we've spread out facilities, and we have over 300 unique things across the county, from the 66 beach accesses to the boat landings to, all of these things. And the more we can co-locate things, the more we can make our maintenance and management and operations more efficient, and by that token, less expensive. So I'm always looking for opportunities to co-locate. So by putting this basketball and pickleball complex there at the rec center, it alleviates another location of having to go out somewhere else to clean things, empty the trash, manage things. So that's why this site makes a lot of sense. And that site in Parkersville, where the recreation center is truly the center of the Waccamaw Neck. When you start at the bridge, you go to Garden City, and you can't get much more in the middle than that.
Any other questions before we move to number 3? Okay. Beth, hit number 3.
All right. So now I guess we're moving south, but actually we're moving west. So this is a project proposed to go at the Northwest Regional Park in Pleasant Hill. So that park includes a 4-field baseball softball complex. There are 2 tennis courts there. There is a nice new playground at that location, football field, multi-purpose fields. So it's just a really nice park. It is our furthest west, northwest park that we have. And so the proposal here is to do a large picnic shelter pavilion, but instead of just making it a picnic shelter and pavilion, because we got to have a concrete floor anyway, we're proposing to do a basketball court and 3 pickleball courts on the same floor. So you could either have a big picnic, you could play under a cover basketball, or you could play pickleball under a cover. So that would expand the pickleball opportunities out to that part of the county. Currently, there are a number of players playing pickleball out that way. They go and play at the Northwest Regional Recreation Center at Choppy, but would love to have some outdoor opportunities as well. And there is currently no outdoor basketball in this whole part of the county, this western part. This site is also co-located on the same property as Pleasant Hill Elementary School. So it's a huge community hub, basically, for families in that region.
Great. Beth, do you have, as a Parks and Rec group yet, your prioritization of these 3?
Not really prioritization, because all of them have merits that, you know, that make them a great fit to what we offer.
When I was
not really.
Okay. When I was scoring them, I was having trouble distinguishing any particular characteristic across the all 3. In other words, on each line item of our scoring, they all seem to be sort of the same. Would you? Is that about right?
They are the same, with probably the one exception is Wachesaw Park also checks the box of, I think it will be a cost savings in operations and maintenance. That's the only thing that really sets them apart. The other 2 are basically not replacing anything, so they're additional capacity. Yeah. But Wachesaw will be more efficient.
And I did hear that in your comments. Okay. And on the other 2, are they adding to O&M requirements or just essentially neutral?
They'll add not significantly to O&M requirements, because they will be co-located. So there won't be a whole lot of impact given that. And also, like the picnic pavilion, well, and even the courts at Waccamaw Regional, we also will stand to have some opportunity to generate revenue, because folks that want to rent and do functions pay to do that. So we can, you know, offset some of our operations with permit rentals.
Got it. Any other questions for Beth on these 3? Thank you, Beth, for joining us today and walking through those and all the work to put them together. I know that wasn't trivial.
Yeah, thank y'all so much.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, Ray, thanks for being patient. Ray, I don't expect we'll get through all these today. I think we're going to end at 1:30, but let's try to get through the ones that make sense. And you're welcome to go in whatever order you think makes the most sense.
Thank you, Mark, and the rest of the team. I guess the first thing we need to talk about are the 9 roads that we have included for SCDOT road resurfacing. I can do them individually as they are individually submitted, but they are the same, and I can probably combine them as one discussion today. It totals about 15.5 15.5 miles of roadway resurfacing, which also includes some safety features to widen the roadways at least by 12 inches on both sides of them to make it a much safer pathway for vehicular traffic. We have done this with DOT in the last CPSD, and I think the county has greatly benefited from improved roadways that this project would provide us. We have about $9.9 million worth of work that's being proposed for these 9 roads, and I think is a good recommendation for the committee to consider. Any questions?
Just for clarity, can we talk through which numbers are in this group of, I think you said 9, so that we're distinguishing between those and others?
Yes.
Or Walt, can you help us with that? Just make sure we're super clear on that.
You want to list it?
I've got you there, Mr. Chairman. So yep. So in our scheme, we have project 37, which is the Plantersville Road improvement. We have projects 51 through 55. So that's
Yep.
Rose Hill Road, Walker Road, Tahoe Lake Road, Postfoot Circle, and Bigelow.
Yep.
And then projects 57 through 59, which include Isaac Drive, David Ray Road, and Plantersville Road. I think that's all.
So the only
that's
road,
yes.
So is the only road that's not considered in this grouping Brick Chimney?
That's correct.
Correct.
Brick Chimney is really a new road, right?
Yes, it's a new road. Yes, sir, it is.
Well, I want to make sure I got that right. You said 37, 51 through 55. And then what did you say?
57
Sorry, I was
through
muted.
59.
And 57 through 59.
57 through 59. I've got different ones for 57 through 59.
Yeah, my sheet's not lining up with that either.
Well, I think you're working
I'm-
off your rows
I'm
on the
sorry.
spreadsheet versus the P
I'm
numbers.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are correct.
Okay.
Let's
Let's
I'm looking at
recast
the
that.
columns on the spreadsheet.
Right.
So let me
yeah.
start again.
Yeah.
So we are at project 37. I think that was the only one I had correct. And then 45 through 49.
Yep.
And 51 through 53.
That's
Apologies.
what I was hoping. Okay, good.
Too many
Okay.
numbers.
So it's essentially all the projects that list the sponsoring entity as if DOT's included, and that's part.
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Super. So Ray, on these as a group, I mean, just a couple of questions. One, these are widening. I'm trying to make sure I understand, are we distinguish between widening versus other things that come along with it, like drainage improvements, sidewalks, other things? Can you just clarify that a bit?
No, sir. Yes, sir, I can. The improvements would consider adding a 12 inches widening to the roadway, new construction, and that will be overlaid on both sides of the road, and will be overlaid with 2 inches of asphalt from the entire width of the road that's existing, plus the 24 inches that's added. There aren't any planned drainage improvements for these projects.
Okay. And the 12 inches on each side, that brings them up to the current DOT standards, correct?
Yes.
Where if you were to lay a new
24
road, you would be
20.
it would be at,
Yes.
is that right?
It's 24 inches each side.
Oh, 24 inches each side is the new standard, and we're only doing 12? Is that right? Or did I misunderstand?
I need to double check that. DOT
Well,
told
I
me it
read
was
24 inches each side on all of these.
okay. Right.
You're
24
saying
inches.
that's what the document says, Robert.
Yes.
Okay. And so, Ray, when you think about the benefits of this, they're mostly, I guess, just general road safety and traffic. It's not like we're creating a lot of pedestrian safety or water drainage or any other benefits. Can you just speak for a second to the benefits of these so we all understand them as a group, what benefits you get?
I think the biggest benefit is safety of the roadways. With the 24 inches added, that really provides a driver to be able to maneuver safely on a roadway as opposed to what it is now. That safety factor is important. Plus, the condition of the roadways, and most of these roads are not in best of shape, and I think the overlay surface would also provide for a much more safer roadway to maneuver on as well.
Yeah, those roads are very dangerous. particularly at night, particularly with a Big Mac truck, particularly logging trucks. We've all driven on those roads. Certainly I have. The question I have, Ray, is, it seems like something the county would be doing anyway. Would you be submitting these or doing these without CPST?
So these roads were recommended by SCDOT, and DOT has a resurfacing program, an improvement program. But if we don't include these roads in this particular program, it will be done in some further time in space. And certainly they have the responsibility of maintaining the roads, but having the CPST fund these roads will help, I think, the community in a very big way.
What other questions for Ray on this? Does anyone have?
I have, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. I saw your hand and I failed to.
No problem.
My fault.
So Ray, in working with SCDOT on these, have they shared how they've established the priority ranking for these roads? I know they typically do some kind of scoring system with road condition and traffic volume and other factors. Have they shared that with you?
Yes, they have a matrix that they utilize to prioritize the conditions of roadways, and they make recommendations based on their criteria. So they do have a method in place that they prioritize roadways, and this list is came from that prioritized listing that they maintain.
So could you share that with us, or DOT share that with us?
I'm sure DOT can share that list with you. I can't, but okay.
And as you've worked with your DOT division on these type projects, so when the county undertakes funding them outside of the SCDOT's normal funding process, it obviously moves them up on the list and they get resurfaced and improved quicker. Does that mean that funds that were otherwise going to be spent in Georgetown County are somehow moved up to Horry or down to Charleston or over to Williamsburg, or how does that work from your perspective?
I really can't respond to that one because I don't know how DOT operates in that manner, whether or not they would now divert funds that were allocated to Georgetown to another location. I would think that they would take that money and go down the list that has already been prioritized and make those improvements. That would be my supposition there, as opposed to pass the money on to another county or agency. Just
that would be our hope, yeah. So part of it for me is, I hope this doesn't happen, but if there gets to be some opposition to roads being on the ballot, and that opposition can establish that funds that were otherwise headed to Georgetown County are now going somewhere else because we're being asked to tax ourselves, that's not a good visual, if you will. So we need to, I think, somehow need to get DOT to help us answer that.
Okay.
So Ray, if you can try to help us run down that prioritization, it would be helpful. We're asking that all agencies or supporting groups by next Wednesday submit whatever prioritization they want us to consider. And we'd really like to consider prioritizations because we believe the agencies have the best view, agencies and you and, groups that are sponsoring us, have thoughts and logic around that prioritization. That'd be helpful.
Okay.
May I ask one more, Mark?
Sure, John.
So Ray, on looking at your county roads, did you prioritize any of those that would meet this same category?
Not for resurfacing, sir. We did not.
Not for okay, got it.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on this group?
Just for clarity, you would need from me, from DOT, the manner in which they prioritize the roadways. That
I think one of either two options or both would be good. One would be for where SCDOT has any prioritization. That would be helpful to have.
Okay.
And then as a total, call it the roads owner or the roads leader for the community, any prioritization that you have as you think about these would be also useful and helpful. We're asking, for example, we'll ask Beth to, by next Wednesday, to submit her prioritization if she has one, and for water and sewer to do the same. So we'd ask you, Ray, to do that as well, if you want us to consider it. If you don't, then we won't. But it means it's up in the hands of us.
Well, I'll work with my partners at DOT and let them provide advice on those matters and not get myself in the pickle with that, and let them help me with the prioritization.
Perfect. And we'll still go through our scoring, but especially when there are close ones or sequencing ones that matter. And I know there's sequencing in water and sewer, perhaps some sequencing in roads. We want to make sure we don't get something out of sequence that's needed from sort of an engineering standpoint or mostly an engineering standpoint. Thank you. Ray, you want to keep going on whatever set up where you want to go next?
I think since we're talking roadways, let's talk about Brick Chimney Roadway.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Brick Chimney's number for everybody. Let's see, Brick Chimney. This number.
That would be project 39.
39. Thank you, Walt. Number 39. Yep.
Someone mentioned earlier that on Highway 701, on that part of that U, on the western portion of the county, that is exactly where Brick Chimney Road is. It's in that vicinity, where the new subdivisions are being proposed in that area. So currently, we just finished phase 1 of the Brick Chimney Road improvement from Johnson Road to Highway 51. That phase has been completed now, is in use, and the traffic growth pattern is growing tremendously. The second phase is undeveloped property from Highway 51 to Highway 701. The county has been working with our engineers to provide the design services along with permitting to get this road shelf ready, so when funds are available, we can move forward with the construction. The engineering firm that did the phase 1 helped us with phase 2. We acquired 200 feet right away along this entire alignment from the developer. We have that already in our possession. This roadway, we think, will be an economic changer for Georgetown County, because it really will allow us to now open up avenues of properties with a good mean of transportation in an area that's really growing. And we think retail, some light industry, some residential will be taking advantage of what's happening with phase 2 of Brick Chimney Road. Our engineers provided us with an estimate. We think the estimate is conservative, but I think it's something that we learned over the years, that we need to make sure that we have adequate funds on the table to do the job, and not be nice and have a good number, but you can't finish the project. And that's really not a good thing to do. And so we certainly have, I think that the engineers have done their homework and have provided us a good price proposal, a cost estimate for this job. We've also been working with the Waccamaw Regional Development Office, Sarah Smith and her group, with writing EDA, Economic Development Administration grant. And so we've submitted our application a couple of months ago with hopes that we will be selected to receive funding for this. The match for that grant is what we are soliciting from the CPST group. We think that that's important, and that we want to be able to utilize those funds to make this project a reality. This project is really a game changer because it provides a bypass of sort around the city of Georgetown, where those truck traffic or vehicular traffic coming down 701 from Conway can go west without going downtown Georgetown, and that reduces the burden in areas of North Fraser and downtown Georgetown. We think this is a good project and highly recommend it.
Super. Ray, I see a couple of questions. Robert, Jim, then Robert. I think that was the order.
I'm good. I don't have a question on this one.
Okay. If you want to unraise your hand, just hit that raise button again and it sort of unraises it. Robert, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I do. Ray, with phase 1 and phase 2, what is the size of those roads? Are those just 2-lane roads, or are they, double lane roads?
Those
I know phase 1 is in place, but what about phase 2? Yeah.
Phase 1 is a 2-lane as well as phase 2. However, this is a phased project, and we think the growth of this area will be tremendous. And so the way we have designed it such that we can add another pair of roadways to handle the increased traffic. So that's why we have a 200 feet right of way that will allow us in the future, as needed, to build additional lanes of traffic, of roadways.
Okay. Is there have the economic developers already identified, who's coming into that area? Are we talking industry, or are we just talking residences? Phase 2, that is.
I spoke to my colleague in the planning department, and she's been talking with the developers with residential projects and at this time. And so I'm sure there are other interests in this area. I cannot attest to any of those right now. But I think once this road is constructed, it really makes it a very good opportunity for moving goods and services around Georgetown County.
Thank you, Ray.
Hey, Ray,
Thank you.
this is Mark. I just want to make sure I understand this funding. So you're saying it's a $15 million project, and you're asking CPST for 3 and EDA for 12, and you've submitted the request for that EDA. Assuming all that's true, number one, when would you naturally expect to hear back from EDA? Is it going to be in our decisioning timeframe or afterwards?
Well, we hope to have some answers before. Don't know exactly, because they kind of move the needle from time to time.
Okay.
But we think that the answer will be back by this summer.
By when?
From EDA this summer.
This summer. Okay.
Yes.
And if the answer is no, or would you expect the answer to be yes or no, or would you expect the answer to be yes with a different number? What's your experience been on these kind of things?
Yes. I mean, we think this is a very economic driver for this community, and they want to know, they want to see, particularly in underserved communities and rural communities like Georgetown, that we're doing something that's going to build and drive economics for this community. And we feel pretty positive that this particular project has the right set of
merits. Okay.
Yeah.
And what would be, if you were to get less than you wanted and substantially less, what would you do? What would that mean to this project? What would the game plan be? How would we deal with that?
Yes. If we were awarded something less than $15 million, I don't know whether the additional dollars will come from. I don't know at this time.
Okay.
We
okay.
hadn't even contemplated that.
That's fine. I'm just, this is one of the first ones we've gotten sort of in this situation that's in, I'd say mid grant process, but, okay. Other questions on this one?
I've got a quick one just to clarify that last question you had. So is it customary for a grant to return as something less than you applied for, or would the project just be denied essentially?
No, the project will probably be denied because if you give me $10 million, that's not going to help me because I can't start the job.
Exactly.
For $10 million, I can't. I need 15. And if you want to help me, give me 15. Or pass it on to somebody else.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's helpful, because I think that way, let's pretend we believe that this made a lot of sense. We could do it. And then if it doesn't come through, it just doesn't come through, and you'd move down through the project lists. Okay. All right, Ray, super. If everybody's got a few more minutes, we'd love to try to knock out a couple of more if we can. Where would you like to go next?
I think we have several multi-path projects. I want to talk about a couple of those. You may know that we are in the process now we're in the process of completing Waverly Road from the elementary school to Highway 17. And that project provides for a 10-feet multi-purpose pathway. And that community in that entire area have been crying and been requesting some help over the years. And so what we have been doing with some other funding is to do some design work on Pettigrew from Waverly Road. From Waverly Road to MLK. We have begun the design phase of that project right now. That we have hired a survey engineering firm to help us with that particular one. But we have challenges like we had on Waverly Road with right of ways and utilities and everything that comes with it. And so we met with the community about a month ago to talk about the project and make sure that they understood the impacts of this project and what it means to property owners. And they want the project. They really are seriously involved in improving their community with multi-purpose pathways. So that project, Pettigrew, is being designed now, and we think that project will be a good opportunity for residents to continue to provide safe maneuvering for cyclists and pedestrians along Pettigrew. Pettigrew is a very small roadway and tightly woven, and having this pathway would help with safety in a great way. And I think the community has been active for this, in a big way. Pettigrew Road. There's also a Pettigrew South. There's another discussion, but I'm talking about Pettigrew North now, which is just north of Waverly Road. And having this road, this project funded would help the community greatly. I think from an economic point, we will continue with the bike path method. We have pathways where people can maneuver around the entire Wacomonoc area from Highway 17, Kings River Road, Waverly Road to Pettigrew, back to ML King, and back to Stewart's Park. So there's some great opportunities of linking the existing bike pathways to something great. So I think this is a good project, and the community wants it, and that's why we help council put this together.
Ray, a couple of questions. Is there are there any interdependencies between 43 and 44? Can they be thought of independently, or do they have to go together, and do they have to be sequenced?
What can you help me with 33? Those two projects. What's the other one? That I don't have that listing. 43 is Pettigrew South, MP Path and Engineering, and 44 is Pettigrew North, MP Path and Engineering. Separate projects, and could be done separately.
Okay. And what is what if there were things to get in the way of them? I just want to clarify permitting. I don't know, somebody tying themselves
to a tree,
to an argument around a tree, stuff like that. What's the risk in that? And what's the risk in that as you're assessing that?
The risk is high, but I think the desire is also high from the community people. Based on the meeting that I attended about a month ago, there were people wanting to know why it's not done now. And so one of the reasons why we haven't done now, because we don't have the money to do construction work. We have funds to help with designing and permitting and those kinds of things, and that's what we're doing now is to do that work. But we do have to go through the process now of sitting down with individual property owners to make sure that they agree with the path alignment and that they have no objections to the easements that may be needed and trees that may need to come down. That's maybe in the pathway.
Super. Walt, then Gary.
Just to piggyback on Mark's question, Ray, about resistance to these projects, would one of the projects, do you foresee more or less resistance for one if the commission had to then make a decision?
No, because the desire from the community members for all of them are strong and high. I mean, the voices I heard were very strong, and that they want those projects. I got two others to discuss about this community, and a third in another community. So pathways, and it's something is really something that people, the quality of life demands it, and we are trying to provide that as well. I think there were some discussions earlier about O&M, and Beth provided us some numbers that we use in our analysis to demonstrate what the cost would be, because there are, these things have to be maintained. I mean, they have to be maintained. You can't sit around thinking it's going to be self-maintained, because it won't be. It's not that way. Something's going to go around. Either the sidewalk is going to fail, or some tree fall on the sidewalk, or something going to necessitate someone to be out there to maintain it, to clean it, to remove the debris from it, the sand from it. So that cost need to be anticipated, and those costs are based on experiences that we've had in the past, and that really comes into yes.
Ray, one of the meetings we had at the Pawleys Library, we think of Pawleys Island being the place that gets all the attention, but there's a pocket in Pawleys, Parkersville, Pettigrew, that feels disenfranchised as primarily African American, and they were very vocal that they aren't getting the attention, and they mentioned they were lied to. That's their words, not mine. Will these two projects address that, or is it the Parkersville project that will address that, or is it both?
No, I am referring to now the. Oh,
This is the Martin
the,
Luther
the
King.
no, I'm talking about this is Pettigrew. Martin Luther King is another project, but this is I'm referring to originally as Pettigrew
Right.
North.
Right.
Okay, so
MLK, I think he's talking about what you're referencing is MLK drainage and MP path, which is 42, which
Right.
is we haven't really talked about yet.
We had
So that's what I was asking. Which would this address what the people were talking to us about that night?
I mean, I think
No.
the people probably will talk to you guys about all of those projects, Pettigrew, Parkersville, and MLK. I mean, there's some strong
I
interest
think so too.
in getting all of that done. Yes, yes, sir.
I think Ray's right. That's kind of why I was asking the question. We think of Pawleys as being this affluent area. Well, it is and it isn't. There's a part of Pawleys that isn't affluent, and this is addressing that. These three projects.
Yeah. So Ray, on 43 and 44, to Gary's point, I thought I had heard that for one of these projects, and maybe I'm just confirming it's not 43 or 44, that in order to pull that off from a widening / sidewalk standpoint, there would have to be houses moved. Is that true for 43 and 44 or not true for 43 and 44?
Not to my knowledge, sir. No, I don't think that any houses has to be moved for 43 and 44. And I suspect, again, 43 and 44 is Parkerville North. I'm sorry, Pettigrew North and Pettigrew South. No, sir. The houses will not have to be relocated because of this. Basically, in most cases, we have to encase the ditches that are there and put in the covered pit pipes in it to provide for the additional right of way, the additional clear space for a pedestrian or a cyclist to maneuver along the roadways. But there aren't any need, in my estimation, of a resident need to be relocated.
Any other questions on 43 and 44? And Ray can hit whatever other.
I have a question.
Sure, Robert.
Yeah, and make it quick. Because and forgive me for my confusion, but the proposals are talking about paths, but the people were talking about sidewalks. So, just semantics? Is it one and the same? Or are these paths going to be the sidewalks that the community was clamoring for, along with the flooding concerns, for drainage, and the other thing is, I'm not familiar with Pettigrew North and Pettigrew South. Is there someplace I can go and see a map that kind of delineates the boundaries of Parkersville so we can see exactly how this actually fits within their community? But Ray, I'm sure you probably know if you can answer that.
Well, let's start with the last question. Yes, there's a map in the packet that delineates Parkersville South and North. You may need. We did include.
Oh no, I'm looking at the map.
Okay.
Parkersville itself, community of people.
I'm sorry, Pettigrew. I'm sorry. Are you looking at Pettigrew?
Let me bounce off of that one. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you should see Waverly Road, and Waverly Road is where that's the demarcation of north and south, and for this illustration. And south of that is going, and that's the portion that's going back toward Highway 17 and the grocery store there. And north of Waverly Road is the one that goes to MLK.
Got it.
Parkersville sort of consider that whole area. And it's heavily trafficked.
And that's what I wanted to know.
It's heavily trafficked and it's sort of janky because the roads are curvy and it's
right.
Yeah.
And there's people hit by cars there, Robert.
And so to answer your question,
that was the number one concern.
Yeah. Sorry, Ray.
Sidewalks,
Yeah,
sidewalks,
Thanks, Ray.
sidewalks, Sergeant, is usually 4 to 5 feet. Multi-purpose path, 8 to 10 feet. That's the difference. And multi-purpose pathways are designed for, vehicular cyclists as well, as opposed to just walking.
And Ray, I was talking to Angela. Tell me if I heard her correctly, that essentially where we can, instead of putting in sidewalks these days, we're trying to go with multi-purpose path. It's just a better solution where there's the space available. Is that accurate?
Exactly right.
Okay.
In fact, all of our design now provides for multi-purpose. And what we do, certainly we while we're there, we try to improve the drainage ways. And in most cases, we have to design a drainage system that will allow us to provide the easement and the right of ways it's needed for this project. So it's a 2-for-1. In most cases, drainage will be impacted. Now, I can talk about ML King, but I also want to talk about choppy multi-purpose pathways too. So I'll quickly talk about ML King, which is from Highway 17 to Waverly Road. And the same thing applies here, is that we want to provide a safe passage for cyclists and for pedestrians to utilize doing walking. I've heard many conversations from the residents in this community that travel cars, particularly ML King, travel at a high rate of speed. And that road is very dangerous, and having a multi-purpose pathway would really, really increase the safety for the resident in that community and our guests that want to travel as well. Because I suspect when we have guests out of town, they're traveling our community, they'll have a chance to see parts of Paulus Island that they had before, because you have a safe way of doing so. This road is really similar to Pettigrew. It has some of the same design features, which provides for drainage and it has to do with some easement as well. There near McKenzie in ML King, there's currently now a low-lying area that would have to be repaired during this phase. We think this project will allow us to increase the capacity from the south side of ML King to the north side, but by putting in bigger pipes to reduce the flooding conditions that people are now experiencing traveling in their cars on ML King near McKenzie Circle. That's part of the project as well, because there's no need for us to do all the heavy lifting with the multi-purpose paths and not fix the problem that's quite obvious on ML King now. DOT is a good partner. Sometimes they're a little slow to react to things that need to be taken care of, but it's our community, and we want to do all we can to make those improvements as we have opportunities to do so.
But it does, just to confirm, this project cost does include the McKenzie costs in it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Any questions on that one? Okay, keep going, Ray. It was super helpful.
Okay, Parkersville is very similar to those other two, Pettigrew and ML King. Same community, same conditions, same challenges, and same opportunities for success in this area. Something that's totally different is in the western portion of the county. Those three projects are on the eastern portion of the county in Paulus Island. There's an opportunity. The county did a conceptual study some time ago, and they want to look at multi-purpose pathways on the western portion of the county. So they convened a study from Charpy Road across Highway 701 down Pennsylvania Road, which is a scenic byway. In fact, the only one in Georgetown County, around near the plantations that go back around, and it really is a really neat project. But what we've done here is propose a portion of that entire conceptual study, which is from Charpy, which is the new state park is going to be developed there. And we want to have we have proposed that we construct a multi-purpose path from the existing Choppy Regional Resource Center, which is a Choppy Northwest Park, down Choppy Road down to Highway 701. This roadway, this project again, is going to provide a passageway for pedestrians and for bikers to utilize and to maneuver from the park down Choppy Road down and going toward the scenic byway, which provides another tourist opportunity for those who want to be involved with it. Tourism in this area, I think, with the new state park coming in that community, with the existing state designated scenic byway, it's going to be a game changer for the years to come. And having this infrastructure in place, it's going to be tremendous improvements to the community.
Super. Hey, Ray, I apologize. I'm gonna have to stop you. Just, we've got 2 minutes left in our scheduled time, and we do need to sort of stick to that. This has been super helpful. We're going to reward you with an invitation to come back again, if you don't mind.
Get out of here.
And help us through. But Walt will help you. Congratulations. Walt will work with you to figure out what time accommodates your schedule. We're going to have plenty of options for you, but very much appreciate that, as well as the work that you and your team put together in putting these together. They're very well done, and we appreciate that, and the taxpayers appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Any comments from any of the staff or anybody before we close?
I just want to thank and admonish Ray for calling me gunnery sergeant. You know, I tried to step back from that race, but thank you.
I appreciate everybody, and we're on. Ray, you got a comment on that? Come on.
No, I just want to say I remember him from days gone past.
So just confirming, our next meeting, we are on in person. If you can make it, let me know if you cannot, or if you'll be virtual. Thursday night in 2 days at 5:30. And we changed this to Andrews, correct, Walt?
That is correct.
Would you mind updating the invite in our calendars when you get a chance?
I will do so.
Okay. All right. With that, would love to close the meeting if somebody can make that motion.
I have a question before the motion.
Yes, Ashley.
For Thursday, do we need to have scores prepared, or do we just need to read the numbers, the ones for Andrews? Or Walt or Mark, are you going to specify which ones we need to have read and have questions prepared?
So we're going to try to get through. We'll confirm, but generally speaking, we're trying to cover the ones associated with Andrews on Thursday. So to the extent you can have read through them, and I've been doing preliminary scoring, it just sort of helps me mostly figure out what questions I'm unclear about. So, but everybody's up to their own in terms of the process they use. So optimally, you'll have read them, all the ones associated with Andrews, and then prepared your questions and perhaps tentatively scored.
Okay, and then on Thursday, are we going to map out next week's meeting schedule?
That would be my hope, is to confirm it, but generally speaking, essentially try to stay in this Tuesday, Thursday rhythm. Even if we have to move the hours around a little bit. And Reed, I've seen from you and others challenges about Thursday afternoon, but we can work through that. And if you guys want me to work with you before then, we can do that too, to try to find times. Just let me know.
Yeah, I'm not having any problems with after hours Thursday. You know, what
Okay.
we've been doing 5:30s. It's just once we get into the work day on Thursdays, that's a tough.
I got it.
Tough thing for me.
I got it.
I'm good
Quick
Thursday.
question, Mark. So I scored them all on paper. When are we going to get them off paper and into a spreadsheet that we have consolidated?
Well, I will send you guys my spreadsheet that I've been using that has them all listed and a place for you to put all your scores and other comments and all that, in case you want to use it as your template. But by basically, we've got to work through exactly when, but we need to have those converted to a single recommendation that you have in the next 10 business days.
You send me yours, I'll drop mine in yours and send it back to you.
Okay. And I'm
Mr.
happy
Chair,
to consolidate.
What
Yeah.
I
yeah,
would
well,
ultimately like is whether
Yeah.
it comes to me from a commission member via email or the hard document copy. I'd like to have something that I can store in the record where
right.
Commissioner Cooper has scored his projects and either signed the paper or sent me an email with his scores for each project. That way I can enter them into that master sheet, and then I've got a document record, and then we'll have that ultimately all of them compiled on one spreadsheet to give that weighted average score.
Okay, and I'll send mine out since it's that way. If everybody puts their scores into that, their aggregate score, then it might make your loading of all those super easy because they'd be in one consistent format.
That would be helpful as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I just need something of document that says
I get it.
each individual commissioner's submitted those scores. And like I say, it can all be done with email or not.
Roger. Okay. Thanks everybody for this time. I thought it was very productive.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
We need a
Good
motion
day.
to adjourn.
Yeah.
So moved.
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn?
I've got a motion from
Second.
Nelson. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second from Tiller. Mr.
Captain
Chair, if you'll
Tiller.
call the question.
He's gone. All in
Chair
favor?
left the building.
Miss Nelson has called for the question.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
See y'all.